So tonight's notes are going to be a review of hopefully some information we remember from our math classes in previous years. And we're going to start out by drawing a vertical line and then a horizontal line on our paper. And I'm taking up about half the page. And this is what we call the coordinate plane. The coordinate plane. And we're going to be using the coordinate plane for a lot of what we do in the next unit, so we want to be familiar with vocabulary and we want to make sure you understand exactly what I'm talking about when I say certain words. So there's the coordinate plane, okay? And the coordinate plane, as you might remember, is made up of two axes. So the first one is the vertical axis. This is the y-axis. So that's the y-axis. Okay, and it tells us all the values of y. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Positive, and then we have 0 right there, and then we have -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5, and so on. It continues. So there's our y-axis. All right, and then that horizontal line, that's going to be our x-axis. So these tell us our x values. So we have 0 in the middle, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on up to positive infinity, just like on a number line. And then to the left, we have 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and then so on, all the way to negative infinity. Okay? All right, and also the y values, they'll continue up to infinity, and they continue in the negative direction towards negative infinity. All right, so on our coordinate plane, what's this point in the middle? Well, hopefully you remember that point. That point, it's at 0, 0, 0, 0, and we call that point the origin. So let's go ahead and label that the origin. Origin. So it's kind of like the word originate, meaning like where we start. So this is where we start if we're going to plot any other point. And 0, 0, what does 0, 0 mean? Well, this right here, this 0, 0, this is what we call an ordered pair. So here's some good vocab. Ordered pair. I'll write it kind of off to the side. Ordered pair. And an ordered pair is basically two numbers that tell us exactly where a point lies on the graph. It tells us the x value and the y value. So ordered pair always starts with the x value. So moving horizontally on the x-axis, is it positive, is it negative? And then the second value is the y value. So an ordered pair of 0, 0 tells us that we move 0 directions in the left, right x-axis, and we move 0 directions up or down on the y-axis. So we just stay right in the middle, and that's the origin right there. One of the most important points. All right, so let's see what else we have. So our coordinate plane is broken down into 4 quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't know if you've ever had a teacher that's used this method where it's a big C. They just draw a big C for coordinate plane, but that actually tells us where our quadrants are. So to draw a C, we're going to start here and move all the way and end there. So what that means is where we start, this is quadrant 1. We use a Roman numeral. Then we move to this quadrant, so this is quadrant 2. We continue into this quadrant, so this is quadrant 3. And then finally we end here at quadrant 4. And that's how we write 4 as a Roman numeral. So there are quadrants. All right, so this is an ordered pair. This is a coordinate plane. So one word you're going to hear us use pretty often is coordinates. So what exactly do I mean when I say coordinates? So this is what I mean. If I am talking about coordinates and I say the x-coordinate, that's the x value in an ordered pair. The x value in an ordered pair and it represents the horizontal placement. So represents the horizontal placement on the graph. Right. So keywords there, x-coordinate, it's the x value in an ordered pair that represents the horizontal placement on the graph. So we could write a similar definition now for y-coordinate. So I'll include that after. So we have y-coordinate. So if we're looking at an ordered pair, like x and y, here's the x-coordinate, and here is the y-coordinate. So it's similar to the x-coordinate. Instead of it being the x value in an ordered pair, this is the y value in an ordered pair. Okay, and this represents the vertical placement on the graph. The vertical placement on the graph. So we have a y-coordinate. It's in an ordered pair, and it represents the vertical placement. Right? So hopefully this is ringing a bell. This isn't really anything new, but we might not have seen this in a while. Right? So we're just talking about the basics today. So now that we've got that, we're just going to practice plotting some points, and that's really all we're going to do for notes. So, excuse me. So let's start with a point. Let's start with the point. I'm going to use a different color here. How about 2, 4? Right, 2, 4. So that means I'm moving 2, positive 2 on the x-axis. So x-axis, I start at the origin, and I go to positive 2. And then I'm going up to positive 4 on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right there we can mark 2, 4. So notice we're always moving left or right first and then up or down. Okay. How about the point, let's get a negative. How about negative 3, 3? Negative 3, 3. So we start with the x value first from the origin. We're going to negative 3 on the x-axis, and then we're going up to 1 to positive 3 on the y-axis. So there's negative 3, 3, and we would say that that's in quadrant 2. All right, quadrant 3, let's say we had negative 4, negative 2. So negative 4 is the x-coordinate. Negative 2 is the y-coordinate. So we start at the origin, move to 1, 2, 3, negative 4 on the x-axis, and then down to negative 2 on the y-axis. So there's negative 4, negative 2. And then how about we have one more? Let's have 4, negative 2. So this time we're going to positive 4 on the x-axis and negative 2 on the y-axis. So go over to positive 4 and then down 1, 2. So there's our point, 4, negative 2. All right, so there's one more thing I want us to add to our coordinate plane, and then we're done. So if you notice, there's going to be something common between all of the points in the quadrant 1, all of the points in quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and then in quadrant 4. All the points in quadrant 1 are both going to be positive. So your x and your y coordinate will both be positive. In quadrant 2, just like this point, the x coordinate will be negative and the y coordinate will be positive. In quadrant 3, the x coordinates are negative and the y coordinates are negative. So all of our points will be negative, negative. And then lastly, in quadrant 4, our x's are positive and our y's are negative. So we'll always have positive y, negative x. All right. So that's it for today. There's no questions. Just make sure you have these in your notebook so that we can get started with relations and functions next class. Have a great night.